trying to get this out of the way. Well, it's going to have to be in shot for a minute. Hey, guys. You stretching? Hey, the game. Hey, Paul. Hey, Mikey. We're doing good. We're doing good. Hey, True Family. Hey, Shania. When you read that, when I read you had a C-section, I was like, ouch. Yeah, I'll tell you guys about it in just a minute. I'll tell you the whole story. The someone she has with her is me. I'm the special guest. Sure. Whatever you think. How's things? We're good. We're good. Oh, congrats. Thank you. Oh my gosh, such a precious baby. And he's so cute. What a cutie. So cute. Thanks. Hey, Lucy. Hey, Mary. Congrats again. Thank you. Congrats. How are you feeling? I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm doing really good. Every day is better and better. But I'm doing good. Once I tell you the whole story, it's a lot. I'll be honest. It started not last Wednesday, but the Wednesday before last, so. But I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good. Oh, you got a new cup now. Hee. Yes, I did. I got a new one. Somebody sent it to me. I don't know who. Hey, the game. Hey, no more sandwiches. Nerea, I missed you. Hi, Cass. Congrats. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, guys. Was a C-section in the plan? No. No, it was not. Yeah, I'll tell you the whole story. And it all started out in the last stream that I did. What day did you have the baby? I remember, I guess Saturday. The day after the last stream. It was, so tomorrow he's going to be 2 weeks. He's adorable. How are the doggos with him? They're really good. Well, Nissa is, she's exactly the way I thought she was going to be. Like, she doesn't really care. She's just like, oh, great, another person added to the house. She doesn't dislike him. Nissa doesn't really dislike anybody. She's just like, whatever. But Poncho, this is Poncho's baby. And I went ahead and shut the door because I didn't want to watch him and, like, keep an eye on Zion and, like, try to stream all at once. So, maybe in a bit I'll let him in here. But Poncho is very, very overprotective of Zion. When we first brought Zion home, it was so funny. We did a video, and I have the video, and I need to, like, cut it up and, like, post it somewhere, because it's really cute. But whenever we first brought him home, I was holding him, because he knew I was pregnant, and we thought that if anyone else were to hold him, he probably would not, like, react as well. And so I was holding him, and Poncho came up, and he was really curious at first, because he was like, what is that? He was so confused, and you could tell he was confused, because he would sniff Zion, and then he would, like, sniff me, And he's like, he was like doing the head turning thing. And he's like, I'm so confused. You were in there. And like, it was so cute. You could be able to tell if I could cut up the video and post it somewhere. But he's very overprotective of him. Like I said, when we first brought him home, I held him, and then my parents came over shortly after we did, and they were holding him, and Pancho did not really like it, which I figured he would. He would react that way, and so we had to have him go outside for a little bit, and then so that my family could be able to hold him without worrying about Pancho. But hey, Cody, how are you and Anna, and how's little man? We're all good. I don't think a C-section is ever the plan. I mean, you can do a planned C-section. I was contemplating like maybe doing a like a planned C-section, just because I have like a my own kind of like health issues and stuff. But I was like, if my doctor thinks that like everything's good or whatever, then we'll just do natural labor with an epidural, of course. Like that was in the plan. So yeah, here in just a minute though, I'll tell you the whole thing. Oh my gosh, congratulations. I haven't caught a live in forever. Glad to be here for this one. Oh my gosh, a baby. Chill, guys. I don't know how the process of giving birth goes. Well, mine wasn't like a typical birth story. It's a really beautiful name. Thank you. What are you drinking? Hot chocolate. We don't deserve doggos. I know. There was a cute photo of like Anna holding Zion, and then Pancho like laying on Anna's lap. It was so freaking cute. Oh, so adorable. Thank you. I mean, he doesn't look like me at all, but I mean, he's a full on Anna. The only thing that we notice that's not Anna's like is he's got big hands. He's got big hands and massive feet. And he's got long fingers, and we're like, yeah, those aren't from you. I was messaging with Anna on Instagram the other day asking how everything was. Yeah, she told me. I appreciate that. Thank you. Did you already eat something that you can't eat during the pregnancy? Oh, yeah. I had 2 deli subs since I gave birth, and then I had sushi for dinner. And then I'm eating, you can have crab ragoons whenever you're pregnant, but that's what I'm eating right now. Because I got them with my sushi. Have you had your post-baby deli meat sandwich yet? Yes. That was my first, once I was able to eat something, that was my first meal. And it was like, I mean, I was able to eat the day after I gave birth, but I didn't want to eat anything that I really liked to eat. So I waited until 2 days after giving birth to eat the sandwich. How'd y'all come up with the name? I know it's biblical in a way, but well, we're not super religious, so it wasn't like the intention to have it be like a biblical name. It was one of Anna's names that she really liked, and I really did not like it at first. But then literally everyone loved it. My favorite name, I think that I ended up coming up with, besides Harrison, was Emmett. And so I wanted to name him Emmett, but everyone else loved the name Zion. And so I was like, fine, I'll like keep it like as a consideration. But the more and more that we were like testing out other names and stuff, I was like, you know what? Like one day I like woke up and then I was like, you know what? I really like the name Zion actually. Was he a good weight and size? So when he was born, he was 7 pounds 4 ounces, and 20 inches. How does it feel to be a mom? Uh, Weird. That was a really nice name. Thank you. And then he's got my last name. So Anna never changed her name to my name, and I never changed my last name. So we still have different last names, and so but with him, so he's Anna's egg, but he has my last name. Forgot to say congrats. So congratulations on becoming a mother. Uh-huh. I think my son was 6 pounds and 2 ounces when he was born. He was a good size. Okay, so I'll tell you the story. So give me just a second, because it's a crazy story. Okay, so the last time I streamed, so I was going through contractions for a couple of days, but they weren't consistent. And I was waiting on them to be more consistent or like get stronger, and they never really did, or at least not yet, except for when I was streaming. I went through a lot that day, actually. We hit a milestone in the pregnancy that same day. So we hit a milestone that basically meant, like, because I don't want to get into like super like gross details, but we hit a milestone and it was like basically like labor has started, but you don't want to go to the hospital until like your contractions are more consistent. Like it was supposed to be, shoot, I don't even remember at this point. They're supposed to be anywhere between 2 to 5 minutes apart, like, and or growing and painfulness or whatever. And they didn't really grow, and they weren't, like, they finally were getting consistent, especially during that stream. So they were getting more consistent, and I ended the stream because they were getting more consistent, and then I was like, okay, I probably need to, like, get ready to go to the hospital because, like, that's what we were gonna do. I ended the stream at, like, I don't know, it was like 9:30ish our time, and Anna came home, which was, I think, the normal time that she came home anyway. So she came home, and I was kind of keeping my mom, like, up to date on stuff because, like, it's my mom, and then I was, like, telling her that they were getting more consistent, the contractions, and so I told Mom, and I was like, yeah, but they're not getting stronger. And she was like, well, she's like, Cassie, you have a high pain tolerance. You know, she was like, you could be experiencing strong contractions, but because of your high pain tolerance, you don't actually know that you're going through strong contractions. And I think I think my contractions were like anywhere between 5 to 7 minutes or something like that. Um, so I told my mom, or I was talking to Anna, and I had my mom on speakerphone, and I was like, and it was 9:30, and I told her, and I said, well, I'm gonna wait until 10 o'clock, and then if they continue, because what was happening is I would get consistent contractions, but then they would stop after like a couple of hours, and so I was like, if I wait till 10, then that way I know it's probably not gonna stop, and then we'll go to the hospital, whatever. And my mom's like, just go now. What does half an hour make a difference? And I was like, oh, true. So she convinced me or us to go to the hospital already. And she was like, okay, well, just text me. Let me know, like, updates on what's going to happen. And then I'll decide if I need to, like, well, first she asked me, she's like, do I need to come up there? And I was like, no, not yet. Like, I was the day before 37 weeks pregnant, and 37 is when you're like technically you're full term at that point. And so I was like, no, don't come yet. Like, let me go to the hospital, let me see what they say, and I'll let you know. And so we get to the hospital, and so pretty much as soon as we get to the hospital, and like I go to the emergency room, tell them I think I'm in labor, and they send me to labor and delivery so that they can check me out. And pretty much like as soon as we got settled into labor and delivery area, my mom was like, okay, I'm just going to come up there. Because she's like, I'm just going to like get paranoid or whatever. So I'm going to come up there. So she came up to the hospital. It was me, Anna, our roommate Jasmine, and then my mom was coming in. My dad was out of town. My dad was like, I don't even remember. He was out of state, and so for business. So he wasn't even in town yet. He was coming into town the next morning. But so I was laying there. I was still going through contractions. I think at this point it's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and so the lady, the nurse, she was checking, like she hooked me up to the monitors and everything, and like him up to the monitors to check on him. And she's like, well, let me do a cervical exam to see if you're dilated or anything. And so I don't know. Again, I'm not going to go through like the gross details, but I don't know if you know like what a cervical exam is, but it's not fun. But she's like, let me check to see if you're dilated, and like what your, how much you have like your enfacement or enfaced. I don't know how you say that in a past term, but anyway, see how much you've like your lining is thinning or whatever. Which we went to the doctor like a week before that because we were doing weekly check-ins by this point. And she said, she's like, whenever she did the cervical exam, she's like, you're super thin. He's where he needs to be. She's like, I'll be shocked if we even have our next appointment, which we didn't. And so we're there, and she's like, well, you're only like 1 centimeter dilated. So she's like, we don't really want to do anything unless you're like 3 centimeters dilated. So she's like, if you want, what you can do is you can like, you can either lay here and see if your contractions get stronger or like shorten in distance. And or you can like get up, walk around, do whatever. And so we decided to get up, walk around for a couple of hours, because she's like, if you come back into this room at like basically at like 12:30 in the morning, 12:30 a.m. So she's like, if you come back at 12:30, I'll check you again. If you've dilated more, like even if you went up to 2 centimeters dilated, then we're going to keep you here overnight, whatever. And so we did that. We came back, and she couldn't check the second. So she wanted to check if I was dilated some more. She couldn't, because it just so happened that as soon as she tried to do the cervical exam, I went through a massive contraction. And so while I was going through the contraction, she couldn't get to the spot where she wanted to check my cervix. And so she stopped, and then she was talking to me and my mom and Anna, she was talking to all of us in the room, and she said, well, she's like, I talked to the doctor, and she said, based off of where you're at, we're going to go ahead and send you home because you're not, it doesn't look like you're getting these strong you have consistent contractions, but and then you get really strong ones occasionally. But she's like, after talking with the doctor and everything, we want to go ahead and send you home. Since you have an appointment in the morning, you can come back in the morning. We'll see how everything is, and we'll go from there. And so she was like, well, also, she asked me, she's like, have you been having trouble sleeping? And I was like, yes. And she's like, okay, well, I can give you something for that. So as she's about to unhook his monitor, his heart rate stopped. And so, she went to go, as she was talking to me about the medication she was going to send me home with, she looked over at the monitor and saw that his heart rate dropped. Not just dropped, it stopped. And so she had me do all these flips and stuff. It was crazy. She's like, it was weird because you could tell she was in an emergency type situation. But she was very calm and collected about it. She's like, I need you to lay on your side right now. And I was like, okay. And as she's helping me go ahead and flip me over to my side. And so she helps me flip over to the side, and she goes, nope, I need you to flip on the other side. So she's flipping me on the other side. And she's like, this whole time, she's not telling me what's going on. So I didn't even know his heart had stopped. She just all of a sudden went from mid-sentence talking about this medication to flipping my body. And so she's like, okay, that didn't work. I need you to get on all fours. And I was like, okay. I still wasn't sure what was going on, but I got on all fours, and then she's like, okay, there it is. His heart rate came back. And then she's like, okay, now you're not going home. So she's like, we have to keep you overnight because his heart rate stopped. And she's like, and we don't mess with that. So she's like, I'm going to move you to another room, and we're going to keep an eye on you overnight. We're going to order an emergency ultrasound to make sure that he's okay, and everything else is okay in there. And they do that. And then the doctor comes in, and she's like, the crazy thing is that he was being a good baby. He was being a good boy. And she's like, but all of a sudden his heart rate just stopped. And she's like, and I don't like that. She said, if it happens again, I'm going to do an emergency C-section. She's like, I don't play around with the heart rate stuff. She's like, if it stops again, we're doing an emergency C-section. She's like, I don't know if that's what your idea was or whatever, but she's like, I'm not gonna mess with that. And so she she's like, we'll just check him out. She's like, he's doing good now. You know, his heart rate's good. It's back to normal, whatever. But she's like, I'm going to keep an eye on it. And then, so at this point, it's like 2 a.m. And my mother, all of Anna, Jasmine, and my mother ended up staying the night with me in that room. And after they had everything done, whatever, his heart rate didn't drop again at that point in time. And so it was the next morning, the nurse that came in there, she was like, hey, so you're officially 37 weeks. We're going to go ahead and like induce you, and you're going to have your baby today. Which was super excited. I was like super excited, you know, of course. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to give birth today. It's crazy. And so Anna and I were kind of like freaking out because we were super happy that we were, you know, going to have him and everything. And so, but she's like, we're going to go ahead and induce you. And then, you know, we'll just go from there. And then, so they go ahead and like start the inducement, whatever, it was like 6 hours later or something, to where eventually I started to feel like the really strong contractions. And I was asking them, and I was like, well, what can we do for the pain at this point? And I was like, because I don't know when we need to do, I said, because we want to do an epidural at some point. And my mom and all of us were talking to us, and the nurse, and she was like, well, so we don't want to do the, we don't want to do the epidural too late. And so she's like, but we can't do it too early. She's like, you have to be at least 3 centimeters dilated for us to do the epidural. And she's like, the last time I checked, she's like, I couldn't really check. And she's like, I maybe could have like slightly tell that you might have been 2, but I couldn't really tell. So she's like, in order for me to do an epidural, I need to do another cervical exam. And I was like, oh, great, lovely. By this time, my dad was able to be in there, which was good. It was great. He managed to make it in time. So they did the cervical exam. Actually, right before the cervical exam, I went to the restroom. They allowed me to go to the restroom. And when I got back and I hooked up all this stuff back to the monitor thing, I guess once I got hooked back up, that the nurses didn't tell me that his heart rate stopped again. But it only had stopped for like a few seconds, and then it went back to normal. And so they didn't really want to tell me. They didn't tell me just yet. Like, they didn't tell me at that moment that his heart rate had stopped again. At this point, the original doctor who said if his heart rate dropped again, or stopped, that she was going to do an emergency C-section, she switched shifts with a different doctor. And this doctor, they were complete opposites on like how they wanted to do things. And so, which is fine. But anyway, so his heart rate stopped again. And then, but since it went back up, they decided not to say anything. And they were like, okay, well, let's go ahead and do another cervical exam. And they did, as they were doing a cervical exam, his heart rate stopped again while they were doing the cervical exam. And so they immediately like pulled out And they decided to flip me again. They were like, okay, we're gonna flip you on your side. We're gonna, flip you on your other side. And then this time though, they were they were freaking out. They weren't really like calm and collected at this point. And then they put me on all fours again, and then his heart rate went back up. And so, there was like 3 nurses in there, and one of them was the midwife of the doctor, and she said, so what we can do is I'm gonna talk to the doctor, but I think she was like, I think that this doctor would want to still do a natural labor, a natural birth. But there is an option. You can do a C-section. It's going to be up to you at this point. But since this doctor said she could do a natural labor, she's not going to do an emergency C-section. At least not at this point. And so they were talking to us, but she was like, she's like, I'm going to leave you with your family. You guys discuss what you want to do. If you want to do the C-section, or if you want to, she's like, I'm going to go ahead and approve you for an epidural. But just let me know if you want to do a C-section, or if you want to do the natural labor. And, so at this point, I'm talking to Anna. Well, I'm talking to all my family because they were sitting right there, but they were all looking at me, and my whole family, they were like, it's whatever you want to do, and we'll support you, whatever. And at this point, I'm freaking out, of course, because not only has his heart rate stopped once, and then they finally told me, they were like, oh, and also his heart rate stopped right before we did the cervical exam, but it went back up, so we didn't want to tell you to freak you out or anything. So his heart rate had stopped 3 times, and in my mind, I was over it. I was like, you know what? I was like, the doctor was on her way to come talk to us anyway, because so far the new doctor hadn't talked to us, but I told my family, and I was like, at this point, I don't really feel comfortable doing a natural birth, because his heart rate had stopped 3 times, and the nurses were like, well, we think what's happening, because they can't for sure tell you what's happening. They were like, what we think is happening is because every time you have a contraction, it's your muscles are contracting, and it's squeezing him, and it's stressing him out, and then it's causing him to, they think he was, what they said, they were like, we think he's leaning, whenever you have a contraction, we think he's leaning up against his umbilical cord, and it's causing him to have his heart rate stop. And so, they were like, we think that's what's happening. And at this point in my mind, I'm like, I don't give a shit what's happening. And I was like, his heart rate stopped 3 times. And my mom, I'm so glad my mom was there. But my mom was like, well, these aren't even the big contractions. She's just started getting to the point where her contractions are getting stronger, to the point, we're getting there. But she's like, what's gonna happen if she has stronger contractions, and what's he gonna do if that's what you think is happening? And so they were like, well, whatever. The nurses are great, by the way. They were great. It makes it seem like, whatever. But that's what That's what they were saying, because they couldn't tell me officially what was going on because they didn't know. And so I was, in my mind, I'm like, I'm done. I'm over it. At this point, I'm freaking out. Because the third time that his heart rate had stopped, I was like panicking. And my dad told me too, and he's like, if you're stressing out now, and if it's causing him to stress out because you're stressing out, then yeah, like you're just gonna get more stressed out as time goes on, and then you don't know what he's gonna do. And so I was like, yeah. So Anna helped me go to the bathroom, and I was talking to her, and I was like, listen, I'm done. I'm over it. I'm just gonna tell the doctor I want to do a C-section, because that way he can come out. We're good. That way he can come out. We're good. Whatever. And we don't have to worry about like what ifs. And so the doctor came in, and she kind of made me feel like shit a little bit, but I was like, you know what? I don't give a shit. But she's like, she made me feel bad, and she's like, if you trust me and you believe in me, we can get him out through natural labor. And I was like, no. I was like, I'm sorry. First of all, this is the first time I've seen you, so I can't flat out say that I like trust you. I mean, I get it. You're my doctor, and I kind of sort of have to trust you, but I didn't say that out loud, but I was like, no, I'm gonna do C-section. And she was like, oh, okay. She's like, well, we'll get you prepared for a C-section then. And so they get everything ready for a C-section. The difference between like a C-section is that they don't use an epidural, they use a spinal tap. And so the anesthesiologist comes in, and he's talking to me, and he's like, so I'm gonna do a spinal tap on you. And he's like, the numbing shot, he's like, first of all, I've been an anesthesiologist for like so many years. He's like, I'm really good at getting the spot with the numbing shot that you don't even feel the numbing shot. And he said some people, he's like, very little, but some people feel the numbing shot, but it feels like a bee sting. And I was like, okay, whatever, it's great, it's fine. I'm cool with needles and like getting shots or whatever. And so he was like, okay, cool. They get me back to, first of all, I don't know if I was already freaking out in my mind. I'm freaking out trying to make sure that he's okay. But when I get they wheeled me into the OR. I don't know if anyone's been in an OR room, but it scares the shit out of you, or at least it scared the shit out of me. So I don't know if it's because I was already like freaking out. Probably that's probably what it was. But they wheeled me into the OR, and Anna couldn't go in there immediately, at least until they had the sheet up, and then they were like ready. She couldn't be in there, but she was like sitting right outside. So I sit in the chair. He goes to give me the numbing shot, and the nurse, I love our freaking nurse that we had. Well, all of them were great, but this one was like the best. And so she stood in front of me, and she was helping me, because you have to bend over so that they can get the shot in, the spinal tap in. And it's hard because you're 9 months pregnant, and it's hard to bend over. So she was like helping me bend over and stuff. And she's like, if you end up feeling this shot, she's like, you can grab onto me. I don't care. And And so the anesthesiologist, he was like, okay, I'm ready. Um, he puts the needle in, or tries to, and I feel it instantly, and I jump, and I felt so bad because I thought I about like head bumped the nurse that was like standing in front of me, like helping me make sure I wasn't gonna like straighten my back out. Um, and so the anesthesiologist was like, "Oh, okay." He's like, "Oh, you felt that?" And I was like, "Yes." So, but it was a reflex. Like I went to go straighten my spine out or whatever, and you can't do that. And so he's like, well, shit, okay, hold on. So he does it again. And I did the reflex, and he's like, you have to try and not like straighten your back because you're pushing the shot right back out, and I can't get the numbing stuff into you. And so finally, by the third time, he's talking to me the whole time, and he's like, okay, I'm gonna just prepare for your reflex. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to barely touch you, and when you have the reflex, then I'm just going to push it in once you have the reflex, which ended up working. So I did that, and then he pushed it in. We got the numbing shot in. He got the spinal tap in. I didn't feel the spinal tap go in at all. And so the spinal tap's in, and they lay me on the bed, and he's checking me or whatever, and he goes, okay, Cassidy, can you do me a favor? Can you move your legs? I was like, yeah. And I like lifted my leg up completely off the table, and he was like, well, shit. I was like, and you don't want to hear like a doctor say like, oh shit. And so he's like, you're not supposed to be able to do that. And so he's like, okay. He's like, I'm going to give you like 5 minutes, and then we'll see if you can still feel it. He's like, are you at least feeling heavy down there? And I was like, yeah, I'm like, my legs feel like they're like 50 pounds each, but I can still move them. And he's like, okay. He's like, and I gave you double. And I was like, do what now? He's like, yeah, I gave you like double the amount of the like the spinal, whatever's in the spinal tap. He's like, I gave you double because he's like, by your reaction to the numbing shot, I went ahead and gave you double the amount of medication through your spinal tap. And he's like, I'm gonna give you like 5 more minutes. So he did. And then this other nurse came by, and she was cleaning the area getting ready for the C-section. And as she was cleaning it, she did it, and I was like, oh, that's cold. And the anesthesiologist was like, Cassidy, and I was like, what? And he's like, you're not supposed to be able to feel that it's cold. He's like, you can feel the pressure and the roughness of like her cloth, but you're not supposed to feel temperature. And so he's like, you're not supposed to feel pain or temperature. And so he's like, well, shit. So he's like, now I feel like I got to give you an epidural. So they lifted me up. They gave me an epidural on top of a spinal tap. And then they laid me back down. And the doctor, my doctor who's doing the C-section, she said, you know, because we're all in this room. There's like, by the way, there's like 20 people in this room when you're like going through a C-section. But she's like, Cassidy, are you still feeling stuff? Can you still move your legs? And at this point, I'm like, yeah, I can. I was like, I can still move my legs a little bit, you know, whatever. And she takes a tweezer. She goes, can you feel this? And she's pinching me where the area of the C-section is. And I was like, yeah, I can feel that. And so the anesthesiologist was getting frustrated at this point. And he's like, oh, he's like, I don't want to give you more because, like, hello, I don't want to have you go through like permanent damage by giving you more like stuff because I already gave you double in your spinal tap. And so, um, the hi Bubba, and so the doctor, which I think that they were just so weirded out by how I can feel everything that the doctor kind of like forgot for a second, and then she goes, get me a baby monitor right now. She's like, I need to check and make sure that his heart rate's okay. So they get the baby monitor and they put it on me, and the doctor instantly starts like going into emergency mode, and she's freaking out. And she's like, I can't find the heartbeat. His heart rate stopped again. She looks me dead in the eye and she goes, Cassidy, I'm sorry. I really hope that you don't feel this, but I need to get him out. And she looked at the other nurses. She goes, bring the wife in here right now. And so they grab Anna, pull her in. And she's like, Cassidy, again, I'm really sorry. I hope you don't feel this, but I have to get him out. And so she makes the incision. Luckily, I don't feel it. And so she goes in and she's like, the umbilical cord is wrapped around his neck twice. And so so what's happening is his umbilical cord was wrapped around twice, pulling him back into my chest. And his head's too big. So his head won't go through the incision because the neck is being trapped by the umbilical cord, pushing him up. So she's trying to pull him out without like strangling him. And then also she's like, she's getting the other nurses to push on. Even the anesthesiologist went over my head and pushed down on my chest trying to get him out. So there was like 4 people pushing on my body to get him out. And I didn't feel any pain, but the pressure that I felt from this whole thing, I was screaming. Actually, I mean, I wouldn't say I was screaming, but I was like, are you good, Bubba? I wouldn't say I was necessarily like screaming. Like I wasn't screaming bloody murder, but I was crying and freaking out. And so the doctor was like, I'm gonna get the vacuum. She's like, I can't get him out. And so she gets the vacuum. Luckily, with the vacuum, she was able to get him out, and she comes over to me as they're like cleaning him. Which, by the way, hearing him like scream and cry was the biggest relief of my entire life because of like everything that I was going through. I thought like I had lost him or something, and so I was like freaking out. But I heard him scream and cry, and then the doctor came over. So they were like, I haven't even seen him yet at this point. So I heard him scream and cry. They took him to the other end of the room. They were cleaning him off. The doctor comes over to me and she's like, you made the right decision. She's like, you would have never have been able to naturally give birth to him because his head was too big. You would have not have been able to push him out. And with his cord being wrapped around twice, you would not, like, there's no way. She's like, we would have had to have ended up in the same situation, and I don't know where we would have been. She told me that. Anna went to go cut his umbilical cord. And then Anna came back, and she had him, and so she was showing me him and stuff, and I was like beyond relieved. I was just still like freaking out. And by the way, I'm still like just open up on this table. But the doctor went back and she like went to go put me back together or whatever, and still the pressure that I was feeling in this like whole moment was excruciating. Like, I think I would almost rather have pain than that pressure that I felt. But anyway, they sewed me up, and it ended up being fine. Which normally, so the nurses told me and my family, like, oh, the a C-section, all in all, it's like an hour and 15 minutes. And I didn't even know this till like a couple days later when Anna told me. She's like, you were back there for like 2.5 hours. And so I was like, oh, I didn't even know that. It must have been probably the amount of time that like they were waiting for the spinal tap and the epidural and everything to kick in. Oh, and also while I was going through the C-section, the anesthesiologist decided to put the nitrous oxide on me too. So he ended up telling me too, right after like I got all like sewed back together and everything. He's like, I gave you fentanyl, morphine, and nitrous oxide. And he's looking at me because I have a cap over my head. And he's like, Cassidy, are you a natural redhead? And I was like, yes. And he goes, okay, well, that explains a lot. He's like, natural redheads have a tendency to like feel more. And he said that explains why I had to give you double and why it took you freaking forever for that stuff to kick in. So, and I was like, oh, I did not know that. So, there was that. But my parents, like, after we got in there, technically the visiting hours were over at this point because it was like 10 o'clock at night or something. But the nurses went ahead and obviously let them see him or whatever. But they were only able to be in there for like 5-10 minutes. But yep, we went through all that shit. It was pretty crazy. But yeah, that all happened. It pretty much, like I said, it started from that day, the last streaming, the last whatever. I mean, you could tell I was going through contractions too because I was like, couldn't freaking breathe. That's cold now. But yeah, that was my whole birthday story. Oh, I did a checkup last week too. Last Thursday I had an appointment with the doctor that did the C-section, and she was telling me again, whatever, that it was a good idea that or a good decision that I ended up going with the C-section. And she told me, she's like, so with a C-section you can either do or have a horizontal incision or a vertical incision, and majority of doctors don't like to do the vertical incision. And so like their main thing that they try to do is the horizontal. She goes, with how he was, she said, if I wasn't able to get him out with a vacuum, I was going to have to do a vertical incision on top of your horizontal incision. And so I'm like, well, I'm glad you got him out with a vacuum then, because that would have sucked. And then I was like, I would have made fun of him for forever for giving me a weird ass looking cross like incision thing. But no matter what, it's worth it. But yeah, we went through a lot. It was pretty crazy. But I've been healing very well though. Like every day it gets better and better. And then I stopped taking medicine altogether. I think it was like maybe 5 days after the C-section or something. So, but anyway. Sorry, I know I didn't want to read anyone's comments yet because I just wanted to get the full story out. But, yep. Let me see if I can, kind of try to skim through here and see where I left off at. What was it like when you first saw him? Um, a relief. I can't tell you, because I was freaking. It was the most traumatizing thing I have ever been through, and I've only been away from him once since he's been born, and that was yesterday during his circumcision. Because obviously, we couldn't be there for that, and so we had to I had to be away from him, and that was really hard. I have not been away from him since birth. But yeah, he's the love of my life. I know, Bubba. Now you can start eating a bunch of seafood again, not just a few things. I know. I haven't gone all crazy though. Like I said, I had 2 deli subs and then and I had sushi today. But other than that, I haven't eaten anything that I wasn't supposed to eat during because I'm he's having, I'm not breastfeeding, but he's having my milk still, so I try to still not go crazy with stuff. Hey, I'm the only one who can call Cass a MILF. Does he cry a lot or is he mostly quiet? He's mostly quiet. I say that, but I mean, you can kind of tell. I mean, he's just been out this entire time, but he's pretty much just like this for the most part. He gets his moments where he's really fussy, but it's usually when we're changing him. He hates being changed. I think that's most babies though, but he hates being changed, and so that's when he cries or gets super fussy. But yeah, and he had his circumcision yesterday, and so he's had a couple of moments, but for the most part, he's actually been really well after that. So I'm really surprised, but. Do you and Anna have different ways on how he's going to call you mom? I was we had that conversation a couple of times, and we always just kind of end up saying the same thing. Initially I was well, I can be mommy, and then you can be mama or something. We don't care. Whatever he wants to call us, he can call us. I don't care. The first thing your sister had was salami. Yeah, I mean, that was my first thing. And I scarfed that damn sub down, too. He looks so peaceful. Yeah. I know. He's so cute. No fair, she started early. Yeah, so my schedule is going to be a little bit off for the next couple of weeks because of him, obviously. So, it's going to be, I mean, it's not going to be too different. I can only do 2 hours because he's got to be fed and changed and whatnot. So, until, my parents end up taking him on Wednesdays, and then we'll go back to normal, schedule. Oh, this sounds stressful. Yeah, it was. Hey, Cassidy. Hello, Baby Z. I'm late. Yeah, I started a few minutes early. Not even born, and he was already being stressed out. I know. Tell me about it. His mittens. Yeah. He's got, and no, those are really good mittens, I think, because, he he's a freaking escape artist. We'll swaddle him, and he'll be pretty tight in the swaddle, but he'll still get his arms like out of the top of his swaddle, or he'll get his hands out of his mitts. We just met, but you can trust me with your baby. I know. No, I was like, once I had my mind set, I was like, I'm not. No, we're doing C-section. Yeah, OR rooms are so sterile, bright, and busy, scary as fuck. Yeah, I. It was. I told Anna, because Anna was talking to me afterwards. She's like, how do you feel after all that? And I'm like, well, traumatized. But I was like, it's weird because like you see that on TV, like you see that in shows and in movies and stuff, like the OR rooms, which by the way they look exactly like they do on TV. But I was like, I think you don't imagine that you're gonna be in one or something, or like you're gonna, or at least if you're in one, you're normally like out, like you're asleep or something, and so like you're not seeing that. And I said, and that just like really scared me. There was a study that was published in the Journal of Anesthesiology, which found that women with red hair required up to 20% more anesthesia to keep them sedated than did women with dark hair. Yeah. Yeah, found that out. And so did the anesthesia. He was like, well, because I had the thing over my hair. And so I don't think he could really tell that I was like a redhead necessarily, or he wasn't like paying attention. And then, like, after everything was said and done, he was like looking at me and he's like, you're a natural redhead, aren't you? And I was like, yeah. So. The little man has finally come. He is so adorable. Congrats. Thank you. I know. He is so cute. He got such chubby cheeks. And he's back up to birth weight, too. Like, it was the day, because most babies, like, you know, once they're born, then they, like, drop quite a bit of weight. And so he ended up going from, like, 7 pounds, 4 ounces down to, like, 6 pounds, 14 ounces. And then went back. And then he, during his circumcision, they did a follow-up with him, too. And they weighed him, and then he's back up to birth weight, so... I know it had to be validating being told you made the right decision even though a mother's intuition is bad. I know, that's so my mom was like, yeah, you had a mother's intuition. And she's like we didn't, after like everything was said and done, she goes, so we didn't want to tell you, but they were like, because it was your decision and everything on like what you wanted to do, but we were really hoping you were going to decide on a C-section because we were stressing out about the same stuff. And I was like, yeah, well, can't do everything by like a, you know, like I'm like, I couldn't, there was, if in my mind a C-section it would be done and over with, it would get him out and I wouldn't have to worry about it. But if we were to wait and then it was going to be a big what if with natural labor, and I was like, no. I was like, we're just gonna do C-section. How are you now? I'm good now. I don't really have any pain. The only time, like, if I ever feel anything is if something, because my incision is still healing, because it takes like 6 weeks to heal. Like if something rubs against my incision, or like if I just so happen to like move the wrong way or something, then it like stretches just a little bit and it kind of hurts, but it's not too bad. Redheads definitely got it going on. Yeah. It's weird. Like, why is having red hair like a thing of like with anesthesia It's so weird. I think I have heard that before too, and I was like, no. But a cesarean delivery is way better, much safer for the kids, and less long time problems. Well, yeah, and then that's another thing. If his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck and we were to try to push him out, like, I mean, he could have potentially had brain damage, if not like something like worse. Like if something like if he weren't gonna be able to make it, and so I couldn't really at the time in my mind I couldn't really find any like if you were making a pros and cons list I couldn't really find any cons to for the C-section, but there were like a bunch of cons that I was having for natural labor at that point. Cash trying to look like hot cross buns. How big is the incision? I don't know. It's probably like that long. It's long. It's not too bad. I mean, it's like hidden, but it's long. It's very thin and very little. Like it looks like, I mean, it's just like a pin mark. It just looks kind of like a pin mark right across, like on my bikini line, basically. But it's long. He's so cute though. What's with the mittens? Well, because he's scratched at his face a couple of times because he has a little boo boo. You can't see it on the camera, but he's got a little boo boo right there. Oh, hi, Bubba. He's got a little boo boo on his cheek because he scratches his face. So he's got mittens on. I actually thought of you the other day. He is the only male you're in love with, huh? Yep. Damn straight. He sleep talks too. He sleep talk. It's funny. Well, he got that from me. He sleep talks and then, like he does this like little moaning thing and he gets that from me too. You making funny faces over there? Hi, baby. Congratulations. How was it? What's his name? Well, it was crazy. But we're good now. But his name is Zion. Now for something completely different. Cass, are you caught up on Yellow Jackets? No, I haven't watched the new season yet because obviously I've been a little bit busy. We've been trying to, so we were getting our roommate caught up. So as soon as she gets caught up, then we're going to watch it. Hopefully we can watch it like soon. I haven't even started watching season 2 of Yellow Jackets yet. Yeah, no, us either. They sleep a lot at first. Matthias was such a bad sleeper, woke up the entire house when he was up all. It was when he was up, it was chaos. Yeah, so he's been pretty good. There was 2 nights in a row where he didn't sleep for like because Anna and I are taking shifts, and so with us taking shifts, he slept for me those 2 nights, but didn't sleep for her 2 nights in a row, and then he didn't sleep for me last night, but he slept for her. So I was like, well, there you go. Oh, I guess Lucy probably accidentally was deleting messages. Baby is so sweet. Miss him. I know. We'll be over for Easter. It's gonna be his first Easter. Welcome to the Mothers Club. Thank you. Well, at least Easter is coming up. Get yourself some chocolate orange. I have another box. Tracy sent me a bunch of a bunch of the chocolate oranges. Oh, I see why, Lucy. I see you, Lucy. Thank you for deleting those. Jealous of babies with hair. My kids were cue balls. He came out full head of hair. I'm sorry. I don't think men can really have an opinion on giving birth. Normally I won't say things like that, but yeah. I'm taking him off. There, now we don't have to deal with it. Cass, you should be getting 2 packages on Saturday. Tracy, I swear. Okay. Good Lord. Thank you. I have your box over here with your stuff still in it. I've worn some of the clothes already, and then I need to, as soon as we get like settled back in and we get the freaking shadow box like built and stuff, then I'll be able to put all that stuff in there. Where was it at? Oh, here we go. So who is the closest to the birth date? My brother, because he thought that my brother thought that he and him were going to share the same birthday, and my brother's birthday is on the 21st, and his birthday is on the 23rd. So my brother was the closest. Yeah, someone banned Brian. He's a weirdo. I banned him. That's okay. Lucy deleted his messages, but I banned him. Yeah, especially after... Normally I'm an open-minded person, but I'm sorry, after the shit that I went through, no. Not dealing with that shit. Normally I'll just ignore it, but that kind of... Whatever. Okay. He's cute. Well, remember with my sis who's in Arizona? He's wearing... Funny thing is he's wearing a Arizona Diamondbacks shirt right now. Well, my niece is moving to your area in the summer. Really? That's cool. Nah, not an accident. This time he was being a douche. Because his first message, I like looked at it and it said hi, and then I was like, oh, why did she delete that? And then, so that's why I said it must have been an accident, but then I read the other ones and then I'm like, oh yeah, no, thank you. He has no right to give an opinion. He probably, and honestly, he probably didn't even hear the story that I went through. So that's fine. Timeout was the best I could do because it wouldn't let me ban him or anything. Yeah, it's fine. I banned him. I don't really ban people unless it's like a troll or something. That may have been like the second or third person that I've ever banned that wasn't a troll. Many congratulations from Australia. Well, thank you. Was someone being negative in the chat? Pretty much. There was a man saying how dare I get a C-section, and also had him circumcised. How dare I? What's up, Bubba? So you can kind of tell the A for the Arizona Diamondbacks right there. Hi, how are you? I'm doing good. Healing. Yellow Jackets is so crazy. You have to catch up so freaking good. I know. I want to watch it, but I'm waiting on like other people to get caught up so then I can watch it. What time was he born? He was born at 6:41 p.m. on 3/23. Sorry, it wouldn't let me do anything more than delete messages. Oh, no, you're fine. You're fine. Sorry for being late to the stream. Oh, you're all good. I started really early today. Well, not really early, but like I started half an hour early. So for the next couple weeks, it'll be from like 6:30 to 8:30 my time is like when I can stream, because it's right after I feed him and then right before I have to change and feed him again. So what is a guilty pleasure that you couldn't do because of the pregnancy that you haven't done yet? I wouldn't say I really had a guilty pleasure. Because I don't drink that much. Although I mentioned to Anna earlier, and I was like, once I get caught up on like my breast milk situation, I want some wine. But, oh, see something's rubbing on my incision right now. Ugh. But, yeah. And like, I really like to bake, and I couldn't, like, you can't eat cookie dough and stuff. And, so I made something the other day, and I was able to eat like the dough. And so I was like, oh yeah, that felt good doing, but that was pretty much it. My sister has a few weeks to give birth to her second child, and it would have to be a C-section again. Same with the first. Well, some people, I mean, you can't help doing a C-section sometimes. Like with him, he would not have made it, or would have had some sort of, I mean, the doctor, I'm sorry, and I'm also like gonna trust a doctor over some random person. So if the doctor was like, you made the right decision, because we would have ended up having to do a emergency C-section if you didn't decide on like doing a C-section when you did, then yeah. Zion is going to be a cool kid, 100%. Oh, for sure. I think he was a troll. Yeah, I mean, he can get over it. We'll babysit next Tuesday, and whoever it was can have a chat with me if he has an issue with your decision. Thanks, Dad. Oh, next Wednesday? If I can be away from him, yeah. I probably won't be able to be away from him still, but we'll see. Even a well-meaning guy giving birth advice gives me the creeps. It's like, just no. Yeah. I don't know. How is he sleeping? I don't know. He's a hard sleeper, though. Once he's asleep, you could like, because sometimes he'll be out and we need to feed him and wake him up, and he doesn't like his feet to be touched, and so normally we'll like go and try to like mess with his feet to like wake him up. But he's a hard sleeper. which is a good thing though sometimes, because you know we have dogs, and so if they like kind of, if they're like barking at something or whatever, then um it won't wake them up. But yeah. Yeah, gosh, Cassidy, how dare you do the best and safest option for you and the baby? What were you thinking? I know. And more than likely, it's probably just like what they were thinking. Like, I mean, shit, I don't even know what they were. I was going to say maybe it was like a religious standpoint. I don't know. But I don't care. I'm going to do whatever is good for me and him. Hi, Cassie. Congratulations on baby Zion from Isle of Arran, Scotland, in UK. Well, thank you. Does he have rhythm? I don't know. He's not even 2 weeks old yet. I'm sorry you have to ban someone who is being stupid in chat. I mean, it is what it is. My brother's wife had 3 C-sections, all girls though. Yeah, well, I think my grandmother said that all of her births, which was 3, she had all C-sections. There's like a bunch of people that I know, like their only births were C-sections. Congrats on being a new mommy. He is adorable. Your harrowing story of having him is crazy. Yeah. I know. It's just like, what, and my thing is like, what if we would have went home whenever we did, and then, like, who knows what would have happened, you know? Zion looks beautiful. I'm happy for you and Anna for being awesome parents. Thank you. Speaking of trolls, do you have plans to still be living in Florida, though? Yes and no. We're kind of playing it by ear. Because, I mean, a lot of it has to do with the whole don't say gay thing. And the only reason why we're, like, here right now is for family. But if times don't get better with the whole like don't say gay thing and like all that, then we'll probably end up moving, because we don't want Zion to be raised in a place where he feels like he won't be able to like go to school and make friends and talk to people about like his home life. So we'll see. We have like a couple of years before he ends up having to go to school, so we'll see where kind of like everything's at that point. But yeah. Zion loves to stretch, doesn't he? I'm off to sleep now, but speak to you soon. Yes, he does love to stretch. He likes to have his hands near his face, which is another reason why he has mitts on, because he's always like trying to scratch at his face. But yeah. Good night. Gonna go now. Congratulations to you and Anna, and hope you all have a safe week. Bye, Cody. Thank you. Glad you kept your dogs. Damn near everyone 19 years ago was telling me Dex and Dewey, who are German Shepherds, were too big and rowdy. They were perfect with my son. Safest baby in Indiana. Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, Nissa, she doesn't... She, like, maybe looks at him sometimes, but she's... It's fine. Nissa's like a cat, pretty much. She just, like, you know, minds her own business and whatever. Her thing is, like, just don't be too loud, because she's trying to sleep. But Poncho is very overprotective. Like Poncho would never do. First of all, Poncho's not an aggressive dog. Well, if someone were to try to break in or something, then he would be. But all Poncho wants to do is like cuddle and play. So my wife had all of our kids C-section best decision, and my 3 boys they all have circumcision. Yeah, I mean, my mom and I were talking the other day, and it's like, it's hard to know, because normally, like, I want him to make his own decisions about everything, but it's like, at this point, when it comes to circumcision, like, you have to make that decision for him, or, like, you know, I mean, I guess we could not, and then he can end up having the surgery when he's, like, an adult or whatever, but then it's a riskier situation if you get it done at that point, and so, I don't know. We did it. We felt like it was the best option and stuff, so. Maybe this is or isn't a weird question, mostly just asking lesbian, but what was your experience in the hospital like being LGBTQ parents? Actually, it wasn't bad. I don't think that there was an older lady who, I don't know if it was just her personality or I don't know. She kind of gave us a weird vibe. It was our very last nurse that we had in the hospital. And she was a little distant and like a little bit feisty. But all of the other nurses and everyone else was great. So, yeah, it wasn't bad at all, luckily. If I may ask you, why did you get a C-section if it's not too personal to ask you? Oh, no, it's fine. I went through the whole spiel earlier. So, long story short, his heart rate stopped, and they gave us an option to do a C-section or to continue natural labor, but his heart rate had stopped multiple times, so we went ahead and just did a C-section, and then we had issues during the C-section. After all of this stuff was said and done, my doctor told me that it was the right decision to do a C-section because we would have ended up in the same situation anyway. She said that we would have ended up having to do an emergency one if we didn't decide on doing one because his umbilical cord was wrapped around his neck twice. So, yep. It was not originally in the plan, but it happened, so. Congratulations again. I can't believe you only watching Buffy now. Anyway, I am taking my leave. I have a dose since last Thursday, so feeling poorly. Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you get to feeling better. Yeah. He looks just like his mama. Like, they're identical. It's pretty crazy. Even in the ultrasound photos, you could tell he was going to end up looking exactly like Anna. And, I mean, he does. He looks exactly like her. Were you scared or whatever of the operating room because you had never been in one before? Oh, yeah. I mean, technically, I've had, I've had some stuff done before. I've had, like, a growth removed on my eyebrow right there but I was a baby. I was, like, well, I wasn't a baby. I was, like, 2, I think, when I had it removed, so I don't remember. And then, I did have my wisdom teeth taken out, but I don't think that they do an OR for that. That and you're out anyway, so I don't, like, you don't, remember or see that or whatever. But so the first time I had ever been in an operating room and seeing it, yeah, it freaked me out big time, for sure. But I was already freaked out, so I don't know if it just enhanced my already freaked outness. Oh, good. I'm glad it was a positive experience in that sense then. Yeah, it wasn't bad. Um, I want to say there was like a couple of times where actually, so I didn't deal with anything, but I think Anna did. So like because if she were to leave the room and try to come back, they were kind of like, whoa, 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 like only the mom and the dad can be in here. She's like, I am the mom. I'm the other mom. Uh, and so I think she dealt with some issues with LGBTQ in the hospital. Um, but I didn't. So, but you know, I don't think I don't think they were the nurses that gave her a problem. I think that it was like the front it wasn't like it was like the receptionist people. Has anybody started Wolfpack yet? After Vampire Diaries with my daughter, I need a vampire. Oh, hold on. Ooh. I need a vampire break before watching Buffy. I've always loved Sarah Michelle Gellar, though. I haven't started it yet. Did they have a curtain up so you couldn't see them do a C-section? Yeah, they did. I think if I would have seen it, I would be having nightmares. Anna saw it. She saw everything. She told me. She's like, I saw everything. Um, and that stuff doesn't freak out Anna, but she did. I guess her and my mom were talking in front of me, and she, my mom had asked like what, because my mom didn't have a C-section, with any of us. We were all natural, and you good, Bubba? Um, and so she was asking Anna, like, did you see, whatever? And Anna's like, yeah, I saw everything. But Anna made the comment, she goes, seeing it didn't really bother me. It was hearing it. She's like, I heard everything. And she's like, that's what bothered me. Which I couldn't hear it because I was freaking out, screaming. So Wolfpack is good. The CGI, not so much. Well, usually with the first season, the CGI isn't the greatest, but like if they get picked up for like another season or whatever, then they usually put more money into the budget for the CGI and stuff. I watched the first 3 episodes of The Power, going pretty good. Oh, really? What's that on now? I don't remember. Is this the one I want? No, of course not. I picked up the wrong one. How do you feel when you saw Zion in your arms? I think it was just so surreal. Because like the first time I had him in my arms, I mean, like I just went through this like traumatizing thing, and so having him just, and I'm a pessimist too, and so having him, knowing that I went through all of this and he still came out alive and healthy, like I was just freaking out in a good way, like at that point. So yeah, it was pretty crazy. The Power is on Prime. I thought so. I remember hearing about it, but I haven't seen it yet. I still have all my bruises. So like you can see, they try to stick the IV there, but that didn't happen. This one's gone though. That one's gone. But I still have that one. Well, congrats on your baby. I'm happy that the both of you are safe and healthy. Have a great night. Thank you. Oh, I need to put this up. It's starting to smell. Get it away from my face. The Power is on Prime. They only released what? Did you relax and have happy tears after they gave him to you? Oh yeah. There's photos. There I have photo. Yes. Yeah. I think there was a nurse or something that was like taking like photos with Anna's phone while she was holding Anna was holding Zion and like had him like in my face pretty much. And so I have photos where I'm like yeah, where I was crying with happy tears like at that point. Also, new episode of School Spirits tomorrow or late tonight if you stay up like I do. I haven't heard of School Spirits. My sister-in-law jokes that apart from the birthing process itself, the second most stressful thing was fitting the car seat. It wasn't so much stressful. I would say, at least not for us, he's a pretty good baby. He did get fussy while doing the car seat thing, like while you're trying to get it all situated. But mainly I think because that nurse was not the greatest nurse. And she was just kind of being, I don't know, she was being I wouldn't say aggressive, but her like movements with him were not like, gentle. They only released the first 3 episodes, then it's weekly. Oh, gotcha. I just got into the Big Bang Theory, currently rewatching for the 10th time. Best attention to detail by writers I've ever seen. Even got the street name right for the jail in Kingman, Arizona. I've seen a couple of episodes of The Big Bang Theory, but I haven't seen like the whole thing. A lot of shows could learn from them. Oops, meant to say they only released the first 3 episodes. It's interesting so far. I'll have to take a look at it. Have your parents already spoiled Zion yet? Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. They were spoiling him before he was born. For Christmas, like, he had more gifts than, like, anybody already, and he was not even born yet. So, yeah, they do. He loves his grandpa, too. Like, it's so funny because I mean, he loves he loves both of his grandparents, but it's funny because I swear, like anytime when my dad holds him, um or my dad's in the room, then he's like always kind of looking at him. And it was funny because we saw them 2 days ago, and my dad had a bunch of conference calls or whatever, so he was like in and out of the room, and Zion was always like, "Where is he going?" It was really cute. School Spirits is Peyton List Tori from Cobra Kai's new show. Gotcha. How long were you in the hospital after birth? So we were there for days. We went in, like I said, we went in Wednesday night around 9:45, 10, and then we didn't leave until Saturday at like 5 o'clock. It was like 5 o'clock on Saturday. That bill is gonna be big. That's all I'm saying. Are you getting much sleep now? I'm getting more sleep than I was getting when I was like in the last couple of days of pregnancy, but it's still a little rough. I always have issues sleeping. Yeah, last thing you want to see is someone handling your baby like a bag of tatties. I don't know what tatties are, but yeah, she was just being a little extra, like she's being a little rough. And so I think he just was like, that's when he was getting fussy. That's my dude. He loves his grandpa. Sex Lives writers had Kim from tiny town of Gilbert, Arizona. It's actually a suburb of Phoenix with a population of St. Louis almost. Huh. Tatties is potatoes. Oh. Oh, you learn something new every day. Yeah, and then when we first brought him home, he was in preemies. Now he's in newborns, or 0 to 3 months. And the outfit he's got on today is a little bit big for him, but he's cute in it. So I did take a picture. I was going to post it on Instagram, but I haven't yet. How much time do you get for maternity leave? 12 weeks. I get 12 weeks of fully paid maternity leave, which is nice. Do you know how much he weighs now? He just had his appointment yesterday, and he's back up to birth weight. So he's 7 pounds, 4 ounces again. And I think he's 23 inches. I thought that the nurse said 20 inches, which means that he wouldn't have grown at all since birth. But Anna swore she said 23 inches, so he may have grown. I don't know. Is something wrong with the chat because I'm only saying my name in here and no one else's? I don't think so. I think it depends on like if you leave and come back too, and then you like chat something. I don't know, but I don't think so. Yellow Jacket season 2 is better than season 1 so far. Is it really? How long is he? LOL, never mind. Yeah. Yeah, I think I'll probably go with whatever Anna said, which she said it was, she thought that the nurse said 23. I'm surprised he hasn't woken up. He's a hard sleeper. I told you, once he's out, he's not going to be woken up. Except for, that's why, and another reason why we change him before we feed him, so that he wakes up. Because he does not like to be changed. So we'll change him before we feed him. And then that too, because once we feed him, then he like falls asleep while he's eating. He'll normally like finish the bottle, and then once he finishes the bottle, then he's out. He'll fall asleep when I'm trying to burp him. And I'm like, really, dude? He's so cute, though. You gotta love him. He's got big old cheeks. How often do you have to change him? Well, I mean, we always change him right before he eats, so that he kind of like gets into that routine. So we always do that. But then, of course, if like we know, like if he goes to the bathroom in between then we'll do that. But he eats every 3 hours, so we'll change him right before he eats. And then, like I said, if we know that he goes like any other time, then we'll change him. He's kicking the b-boy stance. Yeah. He is super cute. Then I Agent on Netflix surprised me better than expected. What's that about? You and Anna are both great moms. Thank you. He'll be 2 weeks old tomorrow, which is pretty crazy to me. I can't believe he's already going to be 2 weeks old. When he was 1 week old, I was like, I swear to God, we just got home from the hospital. It was pretty crazy. So he'll be 2 weeks old tomorrow. So you wake up every 3 hours to feed him? Yes, we do. Yeah, which is what I was saying earlier. So like Anna and I will, we take shifts basically. So, like I have the first shift, and then Anna will take him for the second. I hated changing my nephew. Baby poop is something else, but loved when he would cozy in and fall asleep in my arms. Yeah, baby poo is... Oh, we tried to change him yesterday. So when we were changing him yesterday, he was pooping while we were changing him. And so like Anna had to quickly like put up the diaper as like a shield, because I was on, because with his circumcision that he had yesterday, I was on the side of him, like helping him kind of like calm down while we were changing him, because it hurt, you know. And so I was on the side, and then Anna was like trying to change him, and while she was trying to change him, he like pooed like projectile. And so luckily she like managed to put the diaper down while he was like doing his thing. And so yeah, it's pretty crazy. Is he a light sleeper or heavy? He's a heavy sleeper. He's a heavy sleeper. What are you doing, Bubba? are you doing? He's getting a little squirmy. He probably knows it's almost time to eat soon. Without giving too much, is basically about an FBI agent that looks into bombing. Would recommend. Huh. I'll have to check that out. It might be too early to tell, but which mama does he gravitate towards more, you or Anna? I don't know. I think it is a little too early to tell. I don't think he necessarily gravitates towards either one of us. At least not that I could tell. I think Anna and I are very, I don't know. I want to say that we're very, very similar with how we are with him. So, after these 2 packages, I won't make you fetch more stuff from P.O. Box. Just couldn't resist these. Okay. It's okay. You don't have to feel bad. We'll take them. We'll take them. I appreciate it. I have had the pooping while changing happen to me with my nephew. At least never got peed on. He's peed while we've done things. He hasn't ever, like, peed on me yet. I think he's peed on Jasmine while she's changed him. And then I don't think he's peed on Anna. But there's been like 2 or 3 times when both of us have changed him. And he'll, like, pee while we're changing him. It just hasn't been, like, on us yet. What you doing, bud? Time flies. My nephew is now in early teens and already 6 foot plus. Still cuddly. Wish I appreciate, but I'm not used to the deep voice he has. I'm like, where'd the wee baby go? I know. He's gonna be tall too. He's gonna be a tall baby. Or not like a tall baby, but he'll be a tall person. Okay, I was thinking of how to word it because I was like, is he a mama's boy or a mama's boy? Yes. It looks like there will be no stream after dark for a while. Just for like maybe a couple of weeks. And then we'll get back to schedule once I can start getting him over to his grandparents. Well, gotta go help with dinner. See you next time. And again, congrats. Thank you. Thank you for sharing Baby Z with us, his adoring fans. You're really an amazing person, Cass. Thank you. I do need to go ahead and get him situated. I need to go change him and then get ready to go feed him. So for the next, like, probably couple of weeks, it'll be 6:30 to 8:30. And then, like I said, once I can get him to his grandparents and stuff, then we'll do back to normal. But at least we're back now. I'm back now. So there's that. But, anyway, guys, so I had no idea she was pregnant. Alrighty, guys. So, but yeah, I will see you guys next week. Bye.